So on the 22nd of February 2022, 22222, we had a annual general meeting of the Carrigaholt Development Association, and John has asked me to share the small bit of information that I gave at the beginning of the meeting as the chairperson's report. I was the chairperson. I hope that you find the information interesting, and I hope that you might become curious to want to make a difference, to join the CDA and to try to make a difference in our community by getting involved in the CDA. The CDA is a charity and a company limited by guarantee and a volunteer organization. So no one is paid for their efforts. Being a charity means that we don't pay tax and we're responsible to the government to show that what we do has charitable benefit to the community. So we really need new energy, which is essential for any group to work effectively and to grow. The thing about the CDA is that we are an organization. As individuals, we won't be heard, but together we have a voice. We are about as far from Ennis and Dublin as you can get with a small population and with little political clout. The CDA represents this community and supports beneficial initiatives to create a sustainable future for Carrigaholt. So just to give you a little background on the Carrigaholt Development Association, going back to its beginnings. So the CDA started up in the mid-90s. And to go back briefly to its actual beginning, the West Clare Development Co-op, which was chiefly a fishermen's co-op, was the only community-driven organisation in Carrigaholt at that time. A property in the village, the little park area at the back of the Anchor Bar, was willed to the Ozanam Trust, which is part of the St. Vincent de Paul Society. And they would only transfer the property to a community organisation for the benefit of the community, not a private individual. The management of the co-op looked to see if they could acquire the property from the trust, but when it came to it, the co-op was not in a position to take it on due to debts owed to Shannon Development and the bank. And so the CDA was formed as the community organisation to acquire the property for the benefit of the village. So the CDA was born with a considerable asset, which was a huge advantage. During a village renewal scheme, shortly afterwards, the property was made into the park that it is today. And eventually the property was sold without planning permission for €180,500 to a lawyer, and maybe a few other people were involved with it as well in Limerick. And she hasn't done anything with it since, probably because of the planning permission issues. Prior to the sale, the CDA achieved charitable status in 2005. So having this money in the bank has given us a huge advantage as a small community organization to be in a position to support initiatives within the community. And at the time of the sale, there were many public conversations about what we should do with the money, how best to spend it to benefit the community. There were lots of ideas, but nothing was decided upon. Instead, it has allowed us to support many projects, and I'd just like to go through some of the more recent ones. To begin with, the CDA was a founding member of the Loophead Tourism Network, which began in 2010. And there are 3 members of the CDA on the Loophead Tourism Committee. And there's also 3 from Kilballyowen, 3 from Kilkee, and there's 1 from Quern. And the Loophead Tourism Network meets, that committee meets monthly, and so members of the CDA are involved in that on a monthly basis, supporting tourism in the area. So the CDA was in a position to give financial support to Loophead Tourism in the form of loans to secure grants, which had been later reimbursed. Also, so the Loophead Tourism Network, also we've been supporting the tidy towns by buying equipment and flowers. And I must always add a huge thanks to Ruth Carmody for all the work that she does, and also any other people that are involved and help her with tidy towns. There's been some village landscaping done as well that the CDA sponsored, which is like the entrance to the village with all the fuchsia and the harbour park just down by the slipway there. They worked hard to get the green flag for Carrigaholt Beach and Christmas trees and lighting. So that's an ongoing project or part of the CDA is helping and supporting tidy towns. We've also supported and facilitated local initiatives by applying for and bankrolling grant funding and paying the contributory amount when required. So some of these would be the Castle Pathway, fencing and information boards, which is, I think, a great achievement. It's going to be an amazing tourism draw for the area, but it's also very important to, I think, the local community to have that sense of history and to be able to walk down by the castle and also learn about it. So the information boards have lots of information about the history of the castle. It's a 15th century castle, by the way. So around that same time, we also helped support the community polytunnel, which again, that was the information boards and the polytunnel were supported by the Clare County Council community support scheme. There was a village renewal initiative for street furniture and benches, also within community support scheme. And you may remember Clare Local Lift, which ended up being sort of dead in the water, but we were facilitating that and hoping that it would happen, and it may happen in the future, but there needs to be some work done on that, I think. And grant facilitation for the festival committees through Clare Leader and also the County Council. So one of the new initiatives that has started on the peninsula, which you should be aware of at this stage, is the Loophead Together partnership. So the CDA is part of that, along with other community groups. I think there's now around 40 community groups that are involved in this Loophead Together partnership. And what got this going was the Loophead Together Loophead Together project that has been run by Aston Eco and through Clare Leader funding of 90% funding. Phase one was creating a Loophead regional development strategy, and Councillor Killian Murphy paid the 10% from his annual councillor's allowance that was required for the community to pay. And then we have and that's been very successful, the regional development strategy. And there's a Loophead Together WhatsApp group, which will give lots of information about that. And I'd say get in touch with John Aston if you want to become part of that to find out what's going on with this project, because it's very exciting for the whole peninsula. Phase two has just been approved by Clare Leader, and that's going to be implementing the strategy. So this is a really crucial time right now for the Loophead Together partnership. And there's going to be some exciting stuff down the pipeline with that, definitely. At present, we are supporting and facilitating 2 Loophead Together biodiversity initiatives. The first one is Hemp for Soil, which is facilitated by Laura Foley. And Hemp for Soil is a community soil biodiversity project looking at how regenerative farming practices and hemp cultivation could provide quantifiable improvements in soil biodiversity while providing carbon sequestration and farm diversification opportunities in bioeconomy. The project is running for 12 months from January to December 22, and there are 10 farmers or landowners from the peninsula who are engaged in this project, and they're looking to investigate the use of regenerative farming techniques to improve the microbiome life in the soil, remediate the soil, and improve carbon sequestration in the soil. So the health of the soil, as any farmer knows, is very strongly linked with biodiversity well-being, and the two should be thought of together when protecting either. So soil provides a vital habitat for microbes, earthworms, and plants, and all these organisms play a part in the physical and chemical formation of soils, and in turn have an impact on the wider food and water cycles. So that's an extremely interesting project, and it has already taken off. Now it's just beginning, but has started, so that's exciting. The second project is the Wild Loop Head Biodiversity Project that Karsten Krieger is spearheading, and he has started a website with this biodiversity project called Wild Loop Head, and it is wildloophead.com, and I highly recommend taking a look at it if you haven't already, because it's just amazing. Also, in part of this project is to get some survey equipment and to start a loophead nature and wildlife monitoring program. So Karsten has and this biodiversity group have noted a number of key sites which are of particular interest for wildlife all around the peninsula. And in addition to monitoring, we hope to establish a community-run nature reserve and reserves, and also rewilding projects. So that's super interesting. And if you go to wildloophead.com, you can see a way of keying into a national biodiversity survey, and so it's all fantastic. Again, part of the Loophead Together is the Loophead Together Energy Project, otherwise known as LEAP. And recently Carrigaholt has hosted a group of postgraduate engineers from Flensburg University in Germany. And they're here at present giving the opportunity to learn about solar energy. And you can see that Packy Keen's shed, there's now solar panels set up there, and that was all done for the benefit of the community, so people could see how it's done, and hopefully it could become an entrepreneurial thing. Somebody could start that business here, but it was extremely interesting to learn about how we can use solar power for energy on the peninsula. So that's Loophead Together, and so the CDA has also held a few vision workshops about what the community vision is. So they were held in the Hall, Carmody's, and in Keen's. And this is something that I think will be ongoing in the future, so that we can get a really good feel for what it is we want as a community going forward, and that will be towards making submissions to the County Council Development Plan as well. And the last initiative I'd like to talk about is supporting the West Clare Development Co-op in their efforts to transfer the property of the building in the square to the CDA on behalf of the community, to ensure the long-term survival of the property in this central location as a resource for the community, and to support the local post office. This was a committee decision, working with the West Clare Co-op, who are hoping to dissolve and transfer the building to the CDA. So to accept this transfer of the property would be for community use, and we would be able to retain the post office, and with some investment, create workspaces that will lead to hopefully a social enterprise center in the village, which will allow the CDA to be self-funding into the future. So just in conclusion, I suppose it's so important as a community to appreciate what we have, to work with the valuable assets that we have. We have 2 historic and brilliantly engineered piers, and we have the 15th century castle, the Strand, beautiful and charming village at the mouth of the Shannon with a powerful history, and a community with a voice that sees its potential. So we want it to be a place where more young people and families will want to settle and stay. So we need innovation, but we also need to be able to compromise and be pragmatic within the group and pull together within this organization. So as chair, I would just caution about grandiose vision, but about it's important to be working together to make the most of what we have and to keep going from there. And so I would like to also thank the committee, CDA committee, for all the work that they've been doing, and we welcome new faces and voices and energy in 2022. That's it.
Thanks very much, Sue, for that overall view. And my job today is to report to you on the expenditure and income for the CDA, and I'll give you a synopsis. So as follows, over the last few years, the CDA has spent on the following: professional fees, €1,863. Insurance has been €425. Bank charges, €337. Our Tidy Towns expenditure, €6,919. Advertising, €1,041. Festivals, €950. Loophead Together, 24,500. Our community garden, 1181, €1,181. The castle signage, €1,549, and erecting the signs for the castle, €2,400. The TVR grant for the street furniture, €27,009. The co-op loan, €10,000. The DFIB group, €1,000. The development of the castle pathway, etc., and the works involved, €19,479. Biodiversity grant, €3,416, and the CLDC, €165. So that's a total of €79,176 spent. Our income is as follows: bank interest, €219. Grants for the Tidy Towns, €4,000. For the grants for the festivals, €950. The Clare Local Lift, €2,425. Income from Councillor Murphy, €4,950. Biodiversity grant, €3,217. TVR grant, €24,229. Quern National School donation for the DFIB group, €1,000. Clare support grant, community support grant, €5,501, and the grant for the castle, €16,331. That's a total of €62,822. So, as in summary, we had the CDA has spent €16,354 over the last 6 years, with 10,000 of that being a grant, or sorry, I beg your pardon, a loan to the co-op. We had an opening balance of 137,000 and less expenses of 16,354, leaving a balance of €120,986. The bank balance as of today is current account €12,838, and on deposit €86,107, and due from Leader to be repaid back to us is over €20,050. On completion of all projects and the reclaiming of all the grants by the CDA, we will have facilitated a total of 148,000 in grants on behalf of all our partners in the community, and a further 35,000 in bridging loans to Loophead Tourism and the co-op group. That in total then it's €185,000 through the bank accounts on behalf of the wider community. The breakdown of those groups is Loophead Together project, 24,500, Biodiversity grant, 3,500, Tidy Towns, 4,000, Festivals, 9,000, Street Furniture, 25,000, Hemp for Soil project, 70,000, Castle Community and the Castle and the Community Garden, €4,000, the Castle Pathway, etc., €16,300. So that's and plus then the loans for both the co-op and the Luped Tourism Group. So that in total, we have spent just €6,350, most of the expenditure being covered by the grants coming in. I would also like to add, if anybody has any questions on any of these figures or would like a more detailed explanation, feel free to contact me. You all know where I am. I'd be delighted to answer any questions and clear up any issues that you might have. Thank you.